again. Lunch is over. Hat is on against the possibility of sunshine. So, time to stick a scaffolding tower in that corner. Have a look at what's up there. I shall go round the other end, fetch some scaffolding. You need to come and have a look at this. It's not good news. So the roof that's up there, which is covered with tiles, needs to be replaced with slates. And just at the bottom here, there's going to be a Velux or a key light roof window to give some light into the bedroom. But what you can probably see from here, rather than me taking you up, is that there is a trunk of wood on the top of the stones, just underneath where the slates finish. And that's not really how it's supposed to be. The rafters, which come down here that the tiles are all resting on, the rafters from the ridge down to the wall plate are supposed to extend a little bit beyond the wall plate for the gutter to attach to and to give a bit of an overhang so that the water doesn't fall off of the tiles or slates and go straight down the wall. It doesn't look like that's happening. It looks like the rafters finish before that trunk of wood which is resting on the edge of the stones. If you look over to the slate roof over here, you can see that some rafters come down and finish just beyond the wall plate, and the gutter hangs on the edge of those rafters a good 40 centimeters away from the wall. So it keeps the wall dry from rain, mostly. But over here, I'm going to have to think of an interesting way to get around that. Now, when you look back at some of the older French houses, they used to have an additional piece of wood, a wedge, if you will, a long wedge on the end of the rafters that lifted the final row or two of tiles or slates up, sort of like these ones at the bottom here are doing. Now that lifting is called in French a couillot, and it could be that I will just have to attach an extra long wedge to the end of each rafter to give that couillot effect, so that this final couple of row of slates that we replace lift up slightly and have an angle. I suppose the benefit of that might be that they might come out to more or less the same line as the edge of the slates over here, so that the gutter could then be a continuous long line. That's a possible win. All right, that was interesting. So now I'm going to have a look at that end wall up here and try and do a little bit of measurements so that I can figure out how much OSB board to buy to cover that up so it's no longer open to the elements. When I cover it up and when I start doing the roof, I will cover that OSB with a sort of like a fish scale pattern of slates flat up against them to protect it from the water, from the rain. Well, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'll put you back on the tripod and I'll go and do some measuring. Well, here's a thought. This tin roof that goes along the back, well, obviously the bit which is on top of this boiler room, that's got to go because that's going to be the bathroom eventually. And although it's going to have a slate roof on top of that, the slate roof will go from this sort of bathroom area across the vestibule area to a wall just by the edge of the door there, the second door. I'm thinking I might take off the tin panels that are at this end up to about the chimney here, and get that ready for removing the slab, which is on top of the, you can see a line here, which is the slab ceiling, which is literally 2 meters. It's, you know, it's just almost touching my head when I stand in there. So that slab has to come off. And if I get rid of those metal sheets on top, it'll make that job a bit easier. So maybe I'll do that now. So I'll remove that guttering first. And see how that all goes. They're collecting up silage. So the field behind us was covered with long grass, and that's the first cut of the year. They cut it and hoover it up, store it, make silage, I suppose. How exciting. Anyway, back to the roof. Time to get rid of spare wheel.
Well, I left the scaffolding where it was, and I took the ladder over to the bread oven. So next week you'll see me tackling the other side of the chimney, getting all of the ivy off. Then the week after that you'll probably see me dismantling all of that scaffolding and putting it away. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Give me some suggestions. Bye for now.